All right, guys, welcome into a special Schmolke Investment Team post-practice report. Last media opportunity today, this morning, as LSU was in Tiger Stadium practicing game week. We're 8 days away from LSU kickoff, and I'm proud to bring in my good buddy Jacques Doucet with WAFB, Louisiana Sportscaster of the Year. And I think he'll more than be able to pinch hit for our good buddy Sanji this Saturday afternoon.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is the first time that you've interviewed me. I just thought about that. I mean, I've interviewed you a million times, but I've never been on the other side of this. So let me get ready.
Exactly. Of course, you guys are super busy. WFB Sportsline Friday night, your first one last night. Big high school football season coming in. So we just got our info from Michael Bonnet, how the week's going to shape up game week. So I think there's a few tweaks that are different from previous LSU head coaching regimes. We get players now in the evening on Tuesday nights versus during the day. Thursday night is TJ Ribbs. You were there Thursday night. But overall, what would you say are the biggest differences or things that you're liking about what Coach Kelly is doing so far?
Well, Mike, from a television standpoint, we've never gotten this much access in my 2 decades plus at WAFB. I think the last time I had shot a scrimmage or any kind of competitive action, Craig Knoll was running in the end zone in Tiger Stadium, wearing number 16. I mean, that goes back to like 1999. So I really appreciate the fact that, hey, we can shoot Keishawn Butte going up against a cornerback and making a catch in the end zone, hearing the guys talk smack back and forth, and seeing offensive linemen go up against defensive linemen. I mean, for the last whatever years, it's always been wide receivers running against air, quarterbacks pitching to running backs against air, a lineman hits a sled. I mean, so he gave us a lot of opportunities to get a lot of great stuff. And then when we had to turn our cameras off on a couple occasions, we could watch scrimmage action, what was going on. So it was almost like an out-of-body experience. I couldn't believe it was happening. But I appreciate all that, and now I understand today will be the last practice we can go to. They're kicking us out, which is fine by me because now we're getting into the season, and from a television standpoint, the B-roll is going to come from the games, and we can shoot pregame warm-ups and stuff like that. So those have been the big changes. The coaches show, as you referenced, a lot of big changes there on Thursday night. I mean, for years, the fans during commercial breaks have bum-rushed the coach, whether it was Les Miles, Ed Ogeron, autographs, pictures, and they've shut that down. It looks like, I mean, I don't be speaking out of turn, but I think from what I heard, they draw like 3 or 4 winners, and those winners get to go up, get their poster or whatever autographed by Coach Kelly and take a picture. So it's almost like he's on an island and don't swim across the water. You know, stay in your boat. But no live calls and no live mic segment with Evil Twin, Big Ragu, and whatnot. And, the Evil Twin, that was a polarizing topic over the years. A lot of people loved it. From my understanding, Coach Ogeron loved it. It was probably the highlight of the show for him each week. But there were some other people that are like, this doesn't make us look good. It makes Louisiana look like we're hokey and whatnot. And so those are your changes.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to alter things as time goes on. I think a lot of people have kind of liked some of the things that Brian Kelly has done. And like you said earlier, the access that we've gotten between spring football, fall camp, access to all of the coordinators, both in the spring and fall, being able to attend entire practices. It's been absolutely astonishing. And we've seen previous football coaches at LSU. They're very paranoid. And like you said, the last time we had the kind of access we had was the end of the DiNardo era. And I've laughed at just basically if we would have asked whether it was Saban, Miles, or Orgeron, look, can we attend an entire practice and we don't, record all of it. We only get 20 or 30 minutes. They would have laughed at us. And so, and then when you talk to I've got guys at Notre Dame that I do work with and have known that cover the Irish, and they're kind of shocked as to what we've gotten down here. Some of it's similar, but a lot of it is additional. And, a lot of them are saying, we don't even recognize this guy, and it all started, of course, dancing with recruits in December. But a lot of it's, it's been an absolute breath of fresh air, to say the least. And I think the fans have reaped the benefits of all the coverage that you guys provide, what we do, and all the other media outlets. So, to say nothing of all the assistant coaches that he's allowed out for interviews. All the position coaches have made the rounds. I know you've done a ton of them. and those guys have been fantastic.
Well, I thought when he let us do the stuff in the spring, I thought, okay, man, we got a lot of access, but when August rolls around, we're not going to get a whole lot. And quite the contrary, we got it all over again, basically. Mike Denbrock, offensive coordinator, Matt House, defensive coordinator, Brian Polian, the special teams guy, heavily involved in recruiting and whatnot. And he's smart enough to realize, and there might be somebody out there in your message board or whatnot saying, well, they're getting all that access. The opponents are going to see stuff and they're going to know stuff. And there's going to be no competitive advantage from any opponent LSU plays from what's been posted and what's been covered so far. And so, I mean, like you said, I remember how bad it got. Les Miles last year in 2016, we went out there like on August 4th, stayed for like 5 minutes. Next day, stayed for like 5 minutes. Cam Cameron lined up a trips formation, 3 wide receivers, and they're shouting at us across the field like we're murderers. Turn the cameras off, because they were running a trips play. And then they go play Wisconsin and they roll that game plan out. It's like, this is what you've been hiding. This is what you've been so paranoid about. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely. Again, this special practice report is brought to you by the Schmolke Investment Team. Over 45 years of combined experience in handling their clients' financial needs. In this financial environment, experience matters. Call Bart or Brian Schmolke at 318-448-3201. And remember, experience matters. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA/SIPC. I've known Bart and Brian Schmolke for several decades. No finer people. If you're anywhere in central Louisiana or in Louisiana for that matter, have questions about your SEP, 401k, investments you want to make, move some money around, IRAs, money markets, they who you want to deal with. And of course, they're both LSU grads as well. So big thanks to the Schmolke Investment Team for sponsoring all these practice reports through fall camp. Jacques, this morning, got 30 minutes again, our last opportunity. Malik Neighbors did not participate. Jack Besh, of course, is back. We knew he was back. He had several receptions in last Saturday's scrimmage, but and we've seen him earlier the week. I'm amazed at, you can call it good karma, you can call it their due, but the lack of injuries, major injuries for this LSU football team compared to what we've seen in previous years. So you're going into fall camp right now, as far as what we know, unless there's anything additional that's taking place, with Malik Neighbors, which I don't know how serious that's going to be, and John Emery missing 2 games. I think that's pretty staggering in the positive column for Brian Kelly in his first era, his first month at LSU, to say the least.
Well, I guess that's always the dance that you do. I mean, if your running backs get in the first game and they're coughing the football up every time they get hit, then it's like, oh, you didn't hit enough. They didn't get hit enough in camp and whatnot. And then when they're dropping like flies, it's like, oh, you're hitting too much. I still can't believe Leonard Fournette got hurt in camp in 2016, and that hurt him the whole year, and he was never the Leonard Fournette. I say never. He had some big games here and there, but he was not the Leonard Fournette of 2015. So those are the kind of things that happen. But, yeah, I think that Coach Kelly has done he has thought this through. He's an intellectual coach. He's very much on organization and whatnot. And so, yeah, they've been able to avoid those injuries. I don't know what's going on with Malik Neighbors either. Certainly, all the interviews we've done, all the video we've shot, everything we're hearing is that Malik Neighbors is ready to be a matchup nightmare in the slot and, burn linebackers or whoever else is trying to line up against him. So, definitely want to see him playing a week from now. Not sure what's going on with that. But, yeah, they've stayed away from the injury bug for sure.
Well, that's obviously a strong position for LSU. But through what you've seen in August, what now is your biggest, or maybe you've got several, what are your biggest concerns for this LSU football team, or do you think has the biggest question marks going into Florida State next Sunday?
Running back, I talked to people that covered Penn State, and they said Noah Cain was not the same guy after the injury. Now, we've heard Brian Kelly say that kind of the same thing, like he was kind of dipping his toe in the water. But as camp went on, he's starting now to trust himself and, hey, I'm the same guy. And he looked great today. Like they threw a little swing pass to him, caught the ball and just burst up the sideline. Looked great. So hopefully that's that plays out. Josh Williams was really involved today in what they were doing. He's kind of a wild card. Like
Yes.
What are they going to do with him? Great story, right? He was like on the 2019 team as a walk-on doing scout squad and stuff and earned his way up. So we'll see what they do with him. And then the secondary, just big questions about the secondary. Every time an LSU wide receiver makes a big play, you say, okay, the wide receiver room is stacked, but is our secondary not so great either? And so Sevyn Banks, it's kind of like, he's coming off injury. It seems like it's always 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Is he ready to go? Is he not? We interviewed Jacques, as it's pronounced, not Jacques Bernard Converse from Oklahoma State. He watched the spring game on the sideline with an injury. Is he ready to step in and do well? And then these 2 guys from Arkansas, Greg Brooks and Joe Fouché. I have questions about the secondary, how well they can defend the pass. The linebacking crew is a little, what do we have there as well? And so, yeah, you got a team that appears to be loaded at wide receiver, loaded at defensive line. What are you going to get out of your quarterback? Jane Daniels continues to run out there first. It's the opposite of those concerts we go to, Mike. Nobody wants to go first in the concert. They want to go last. But when you're first out on the quarterback, that. So it appears he's the starter. I don't know. We'll find it. Maybe we'll see if Brian Kelly makes an announcement at noon on Monday or not. But it appears.
Well, got a lot of buzz about Colby Richardson and the job he's done at camp. I think probably my biggest concern is field goal kicking, but that's only because we really haven't seen a whole lot of it. We haven't seen a whole lot of it under duress, under pressure. I think that position is scary. And when Coach Polian talked with the media the day, he said, you guys have been spoiled here with what you've had in the last 2 kickers. It kind of makes you think, is he setting the stage for people to, especially when you look at LSU's schedule, when you can say there's 7 or 8 games that you can either say are toss-up games or the point spread might be within 3 or 4 points. I think field goal kicking is probably my number one right now, right there with defensive backs. I think the tight end spot with Mason Taylor, been raving about him. I've loved the way he's looked. I know you've talked about him a good bit as well. I think the offensive line is going to be pretty secure, but I think they're going to take their lumps. And so, but yeah, I'm putting my number one worry or concern is being field goal kicking.
Well, some guys step in and handle it right away. And, Cole Tracy came from this tiny college, Assumption College, where he's kicking in front of 1,000, 2,000 people. And it's like, well, can you do it in the SEC? And he goes out there at Jordan-Hare Stadium in front of 90,000 people, down 1, not tied. Like if I miss it, we're going to overtime. He drilled the thing. And then Cade York steps right in and keeps it going. So you don't want a Gary Sharon, what you're saying, at kicker this year after David Lee Roth and Sammy Hagar. But, Damian Ramos, they're talking about this guy, and they're saying he's doing a good job. And they said the other day in a quote-unquote game, a pretend game, he made a 54-yard field goal at the end to win it. So we'll see. I mean, one of those guys on there is from Northwestern State, transferred in. I mean, can you trot that guy out the swamp and kick a 45-yard field goal in the 4th? I don't know. But, yeah, you're right. I mean, we have – and Coach Polian's right. Nobody wants to hear the new head coach tell the fans, hey, you've been spoiled, But, and Avery Atkins, I mean, how many years before Avery Atkins were we so frustrated LSU would grab momentum in the game and they kicked the ball out of bounds? Alabama game 2014, they tie the game, they kick the ball to get or they take the lead and they lose it in overtime. So, we're coming off the best, wouldn't you say the best specialist in LSU history?
Well, I tell you what, as bad as things got under Ed Orgeron in the last 2 years, the one consistent in the Ed Orgeron era was Jim McMahon, Coach McMahon's special teams were always fantastic. And I know Coach Polian has a relationship with him, and he's right here in town.
Greg McMahon. Sorry.
Yeah, Greg McMahon. I'm always like, and by the way, I've done it twice this week. When going to talk about John Emery, I've said Emery Jones. And I heard another media guy do it the other night as well. So that starts happening this time of year. But I've always thought, man, why not, you don't want some guy from the previous regime there, but man, wouldn't that be some guy that you could bring in as an analyst or at some point how valuable could he be to the program? He's right here in town.
Well, I heard that he's at Texas now. He's going to be doing some stuff with Texas. And I might have also heard he's going to pop up in the USFL next year. So we'll see.
Yeah, I didn't think he would be sitting around long. And I know you did a great Jacques talk with him. I think you done 2 of them, haven't you? With him, 2 big interviews.
Yeah. Hey, look, he and his wife been married forever. They love each other. But the joke was right after he retired, his wife's like, "Are you really going to sit here all day? Are you really going to sit on the couch all day?" So, that's always the thing these guys deal with. Whether you're a coach or a player, when you get out of the game, I don't blame anybody for thinking about it, whether you're Tom Brady or, Malachi Dupree, who's still in the prime of the health of his career, talk about, hey, I stepped away from football and I feel like I can still do it. It's hard. So.
Well, talk about, I'm going to get you out of here. Talk about the big WFB LSU preseason special that y'all have got early this week.
We'll be live from New Orleans, 5:30 in the afternoon, from an hour before the game kicks off. When we call it a special, we try to do some special pieces, to try to liven it up, do some different things. I know I'll be doing a piece on Brian Kelly and probably to be doing something on Mason Taylor as well, some different kind of stuff. So that'll be 5:30. I need to check and see if it's streaming live on WAFB.com as well. I want to say it is. But, you can check that out. Darren DeQuano and I will be in New Orleans Saturday and Sunday of next week. So Beavis and Butthead are starting 2022. A couple of quick things I want to mention before you go from practice today. I mean, I'm not one of these guys that, takes down notes and but the offensive linemen, they had Will Campbell at left tackle, Miles Frazier from Florida International at left guard, Garrett Dellinger, not Dellinger, not the famous writer. He pronounces it Dellinger. And then right guard Anthony Bradford, and then right tackle Cam Wire from East Ascension High School. So those were the guys that they had out there today.
I tend to think your 3 spots that are your rock guys is Campbell at left, Wire at right tackle, and Dellinger at center. And then I wonder if over time those guards are going to be the ones that get moved around and interchanged throughout the season, depending on who gets nicked up, rotating, who's effective, who's not. But I think the main 3, your tackles and your center, are the ones that are probably going to stay where they need to be unless somebody gets hurt.
Well, Trayvon Short, 6'5", 340. I don't think he left East Tennessee State to sit at the bench. So I imagine he's going to play. Right.
And who are some of the newcomers that are also going to want to push for rotating in for playing time? So, guys, if you like this report, please hit the like button and go to tigerbait.com, subscribe, try us out for $1. Jacques talked about practice this morning. We got over 15 minutes of footage from that coming your way on Tiger Bait. So big thanks, Jacques, and let us know about what y'all got at WFB, and we'll put it up on the site, and we'll see you Monday at the first Brian Kelly press luncheon.
All right,
what do we get? What are we getting? Subway?
I've got in the habit of just eating before I go. That's no insult to anybody, but yeah, I mean, in the last several years, it's been a box with a bag of chips, a cookie, and a 6-inch sub that's 90% bread. So I may hit chicken salad chick, one of your favorites, or Albasha Express or something like that, or Ambart, Brian Polian's favorite there.
When it was Carrabba's, Jacques, I'd watch Jacques go back 3 or 4 times. I don't see him. I don't see him going back for Subway 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, that was back in the days when I was, still lifting lots of weights and trying to eat all the protein and whatnot, and just petrified to lose a pound. Those days are over.
All right, Jacques, big thanks, and big thanks to the Schmolke Investment Team, and we'll see you guys on tigerbait.com.
Thank you.